I just bought this car from Facebook Marketplace and is already in a state. Buying a car from Facebook Marketplace is a risk on its own, and not everybody is being truthful of what they are selling. First day of buying a car and I'm already taking the drive shaft out. Luckily, I'm not a newbie on the Facebook Marketplace because this is not the first car that I have bought. If you ever wondered how a Facebook Marketplace car looks like, it looks like me. Okay, let me explain how I got to this point. Now, here is Andrew on Facebook Marketplace looking for a nice car to purchase. And it looks like he found something. With no time to waste, he's gone. Running 120 kilometers from Polokwane to Toyando without taking any breaks, while calling the owner to not sell the car before he gets there. That's pretty impressive, I should say. After negotiating with the owner, I finally bought the car. Without any further ado, let me introduce the new project, the new daily, the money-making machine, Big Hero Cherry Tigo. So guys, this is our mini project that we're going to transform within a few days. To be honest, this car looks to be in a mint condition, but that is just the eyes deceiving us. As you can look close, that the bonnet is not actually closed. The reason for that is that the latch is not actually connected. To open the bonnet is just a press of this latch, then it opens, which is not ideal because somebody can open the bonnet and steal the battery from it. And the issue is that the latch over here, it is not actually visible. It's not actually, here is the latch, so it needs to go under this part. This car needs a full service. This also needs to be replaced. That's the least of our worries because this car has a clutch issue, which means we're gonna have to remove the gearbox and replace the clutch. We also have another issue on the back of the car because this car looks like it had an accident before. If you can check from here, you can see that they have painted it before, but they did the worst job possible. And I can put my finger between the light and the body of the car, and you can see that we are missing the cover for the tire. Going inside the car, opening it, we have a screwdriver here. The machine is not actually working as it's supposed to. This one as well is not actually working the way it's supposed to. We are missing some pieces over here as well. We're missing a cover over here. That side we are missing a piece as well. The seats are actually looking nice, no tear, but there's a wear on this one because you can see some rust over here. Those are the only bad things that I think this car is having. Other things are not really that bad or are not a big issue to me. I know to some people it doesn't look like much. It looks like I just bought the worst car ever, but to me this is one of the best cars that I've ever bought. It's not actually having a lot of problems, and it's just a minor problems that it does have. And the good thing about this is that it has a lot of power. Even though the clutch is slipping, but it still has a lot of power. I can be able to drive this car with no issue. With all of that being said, I think it's time to take this car home and then remove the gearbox. So on the dashboard we have a ABS light, we have airbag light. I don't know what this light is for. Please tell me in the comment section what that light is for. And I'm in gear 2. You can see the rev count is, we're not in an uphill, so it's not a big of an issue, but the car is actually driving well and it's looking well as well. So the only thing it needs is a windscreen and things like that. Now I got the car home, it's time to take the gearbox out. First thing that we need to remove is the airbox, which is being held by one 10mm bolt, and then the airbox is out. I just ripped it apart because we're going to buy a new tube. Whole idea is to remove everything out of the way so that I can see the gearbox itself. Now I'm going to remove the battery tray, which is also being held by a 10mm bolt. There are only 3 bolts that are holding the tray on the car. I have never gotten 1,000 likes on any of my videos since I started YouTube, and I know this one is going to get me to 1,000 likes. So if you haven't liked, please hit that like button and let's get this video to 1,000 likes. Thank you for the 1,000 likes in advance. Now let's remove that tray. Looks like this car was sitting for the longest time where it was before, and we're going to wash the car after doing the gearbox and everything, and this is going to get cleaned and resprayed black. After disconnecting all of the wires, I'm going to be removing this distributor kinda looking thing, which is one of the most important components on the engine because it provides spark and is being held by 8mm. Then I'm going to remove the water housing. And the water housing is being held by many water hoses that need to be removed. So after unbolting it, that's the next thing to remove. Now I'm going to unclip this pipe that goes to the throttle body, which will also give me access to more things to remove. Now we are back to the matter of removing everything out of the way. I want to make sure that I have full access to the bolts on the gearbox so that it will be easier to unbolt them and it will be easier to put them back. Using a 2-liter bottle just to prevent any spillage of coolant. I'm doing this just to reduce the mess in the engine. After that, I'm going to remove the coolant pipe that goes from the housing to the radiator. It is only being held by one clip and it's just a matter of pulling it out. Well, this pipe, I don't know if you can see from the inside, but just look at that from the inside. It's pretty bad. Look at that. That's what happens when you pour in water instead of coolant. So yeah, that is actually bad. Well, right now I think I have enough space to actually remove the gearbox, but I need to disconnect more connectors, then I can unbolt the gearbox. I'm not going to unbolt it yet because I need to jack the car up, then remove the CVs from the gearbox. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that's something that needs to be done. And I need to undo this mount and that mount over there. The starter motor over there needs to be unbolted, and also the CV from the back needs to be removed, and the CV from this side also needs to be removed. I don't know the whole process how I'm supposed to do it, but I'm just going to guess as I go along and see which one goes where. From here there are 2 bolts under this. You can, I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but there's a 1 bolt over there and there's another bolt over there, down there. So if I can be able to get to those bolts, then the gearbox will be able to be removed, and we can also remove the mount at the back over there. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue disconnecting clips like this one and this one as well. Then we're going to disconnect the linkages. Yeah, let's do that. The method is still the same. I'm just going to keep on removing and disconnecting all of the plugs and unbolting everything that is in the way. But now the focus is on everything that is connected to the gearbox, such as the gear linkages. The 3 mounts that are holding the gearbox to the car and the starter motor must be removed. Both of the linkages are out. Now I'm going to remove the bracket that holds the linkages to the gearbox, which are held by 10mm bolt for each bracket. Then after all of that jazz, I'm going to remove the starter motor, which is held by 16mm bolt, and it is tough to remove. So I had to use a breaker bar to remove it. After removing the top bolt, it's time to remove the under bolt. So we are going under the car. It feels kind of weird to remove the gearbox on the first day that I've bought the car, but I have no choice but to remove the gearbox because I want to drive the car. And I know if you're new to the channel, you might be thinking that I know what I'm doing, but I don't. All that I know is that the way I'm removing the gearbox is the way it needs to go back. As you can see from there, just 1 bolt that is left that needs to be removed. when I'm going to have power tools, this is going to take like a few minutes, but because for now I don't have power tools, this takes forever, but I'm gonna get it done. This is actually true. If I had power tools, this will take me an hour to remove. But in this situation, we have to use what we have to use to do what we need to do. Now I'm going to jack the car up to remove the wheel because it's time to remove the CVs, or as some people call them, drive shaft. If you are enjoying this video, please give this video a like. I'm trying to make this video the first video on my channel to have 1,000 likes, so please do give it a like, and you can do hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on the channel. From the looks of things, we are missing a cover that covers the gearbox from this side. We are missing that, and the car even underneath seems to be fine. It is looking pretty healthy, well taken care of. So when I'm turning the breaker bar, the bolt also turns, so I put a brake over here with a 90mm on that side so that it won't break the shield, even though I think this is going to press the shield, but it's not the same as this bending the shield. So right now I'm just going to use that and try to remove it. Since the wheel is off, the next thing that I'm going to remove is the shock absorber bolt. For now, I'm just going to separate the shock absorber from the hub, just to give me a little bit of more space to remove the drive shaft, which was not easy at all. I had to extend the breaker bar so that I'll be able to remove the bolt. From the looks of this, I think this is the first time it was removed. Now I'm going to remove the speed sensor just to prevent the cable from breaking, and I do think that I might be the first person who has removed the shock absorber bolt. I'm not actually sure, but I think I might be. After unlocking the 32 lock nut, I can now undo the bolt for the CV, which is not gonna be easy. So now I have to put a bolt back on the shock absorber just to support the whole hub when I undo the drive shaft bolt. And using the screwdriver between the disc really helps when undoing the bolt, and using some lubricant Q20 will actually help in removing the bolt. But this is not actually the hardest part. The hardest part is to remove the CV joint out of the gearbox, especially when you don't have the proper tools. I'm still trying to remove the CV from there, so because I didn't have anything to push it out, so I'm using a rope to pull the drive shaft out of the gearbox. And I know this is not the proper way of removing the CV joint out of the gearbox, but this is the only way I know how to do it, and I think it might work. This might be one of the most genius things that I ever done, or one of the dumbest things that I ever done. So I'm just gonna use this to pull the CV out. Hopefully it will work. Well, that did not work because the rope has torn, as you can see from there and from here. So that idea, it is now dead. So I have something new. I have this pry bar. I think I'm going to get it in and push it that way. I don't know if it will work or not, but I'm going to try. Well, I've gave up on the CV, but I think the gearbox will be able to come out even if the CV is in, because the gearbox is going to go from that side then down, and I think the gearbox will, the CV or the drive shaft will not be in the way of the gearbox coming out. If it will be in the way, we'll have no choice but to deal with it. But for now, I'm going to do the same thing that I did on this side, and remove the CV. This time I'm going to remove the CV. I have no choice but to remove it because this is the longer one. There's no way I can do it without removing that CV axle. I've already removed the wheel. Now it's time to remove this bolt over here. Then we're going to remove this, and basically we're going to be doing the same thing as we did on the passenger side, but this time we're going to remove the CV joint. We have no choice. I don't know what method I'm going to use to remove the CV joint because the rope method did not work and the pry bar method did not work as well, but I'm not sure on this side it will work. Let's see. After separating the shock absorber from the hub, I think the CV will be able to come out. And if you have watched the video until this point, I know that you have liked the video and you are a true subscriber. And I just want to say thank you for subscribing and liking the video. That's the CV out from this side. The only thing that is left is to remove it from there. Well, I have an update which is not a good update because I have not yet removed both of the CVs and this is going to take forever if I don't remove the CVs. I have another method that I'm going to use, because I tried to use a pray bar on this side for the longer CV because it has a lot of space, but I wasn't able to get the CV out. I almost got the boot out, but the boot is not supposed to be removed. That's what I do not want. So I have a rope, because the rope that we used before was torn. Now I have another rope, and this rope better work, because I think this is the only method that I can use, because the right way to do it is to buy this tool in order to remove the CV. So I cannot buy the tool, it's going to take forever to come here. Well, after a long waited time, the rope actually worked. The rope actually worked, because now there is some gear oil. Then I just use this with a rope, just like that. So it is finally out. Whew, this was not easy. This was totally not easy. So I'm going to do the same trick as I did on this side, on the other side. We're just going to take the rope and we need to push it along until it gets to the shaft. Then we're going to push the shaft out. So all I have to do is just force it in between the drive shaft and the gearbox. Then after that, I'm going to use this to pull it back. Hopefully that will work. I think this is the only option that I have to remove the drive shaft out of the gearbox, using a rope and then pulling it out. I have no choice. So it's a little bit hard to remove it, but I think maybe if I extend it, because for now it is over here, which is kind of difficult to actually put the full strength in pulling it. So now I've extended the rope. Let's see if we'll be able to take the shaft out. Now I'm just gonna pull the shaft out with all of my strength, just to make sure that I don't waste any more time, because I still have a lot to do to remove the gearbox. But after removing the drive shaft, we'll be getting close. Yep, it's almost out. As you can see, the shaft is almost out. So it is finally out. Before we finish taking the gearbox out of the Cherry, I just want to talk about how the car ended up in my hand from Facebook Marketplace to my place. As I've told you guys, that buying a car from Facebook Marketplace is not actually easy, and you cannot trust the person who's telling you about the car, the problems of the car, because he's telling you the problems that you can see with your eyes, but they're not telling you the problems that you cannot see. But I was lucky enough to have somebody who's transparent and told me everything that I need to know of the car, the ones that I can see and the ones that I don't see, because they themselves got scammed. The previous owner who bought this car, they actually bought it from an auction, and they actually got scammed from that auction, because they didn't buy what they thought they were buying, because they thought they're buying a car with no problem, with no dent, with no issue, with no missing pieces, with nothing. That the person that I bought this car from, they never drove this car. Then he decided to sell the car. Then I bought the car from him. Here's what I think happened to the car. So the first person who bought the car bought it from We Buy Cars. I saw this is DECRA, which means the car is 100% inspected with no problems, and is the way you saw the car from. That means the car is actually in a good state, or in a better state than what we see right now. So which means the person who bought it from We Buy Cars thought this car is going to be the most perfect car that they ever bought. So they decided, okay, because this car has a lot of problems, they're going to take this car to an auction. So the owner who I bought it from, they bought the car from an auction, and they posted the car from Facebook Marketplace, and I bought it from Facebook Marketplace. So basically that's the whole story of the Cherry and how it ended up in my hands. So let me stop talking and let's get the gearbox out. And before we do that, hit that like button. Let's get this video to 1,000 likes. This will be the first video in my channel to have 1,000 likes, so let's give it 1,000 likes. We have already removed the airbox, we have disconnected all the wires, we have unbolted everything that is bolted to the gearbox. which is the linkages and the brackets for the linkages. We have removed this cylinder for the clutch cylinder. We have removed the starter. We have removed the drive shaft. We have removed both of the drive shaft, and now the only thing that is left on this car, 3 mounts must be removed, and the engine must be balanced so that I'll be able to take the gearbox out without actually bending the other bracket from this side. I know the best way to do this was to disconnect everything that is connected to the gearbox and the engine and remove the engine from the car, so that I'll be able to have all the access from the engine and it will be much quicker. But I don't have all the equipment that is needed to actually do all of that, so I'm going to unbolt the gearbox and everything will look what will be the way it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to remove the water housing that I was supposed to remove at the first place, but I thought I wouldn't have to remove it, but now I have to remove it. After removing the housing, I'm going to remove the back mount and the front mount. Both of them, they're going to go out. And I think we're going to be forced to remove a part of the subframe just because we want to remove the gearbox, and that's not gonna be easy. After removing the housing, it's time to remove the gearbox bolts that are connecting the engine and the gearbox. But I'm starting with the difficult ones at the back just because they are hard to get to. As you can see, this bolt is longer than this one, and that's the reason why we need to put them in a certain way. The way we took them out, we must reinstall them the way we have took them out, so that we don't mess up with the way the manufacturers has done the bolt. And you can see this one has its own washer. This one comes with a washer, and this one is short, this one is long. That's why we need this board, so that we don't get confused when we're going to put all the bolts back. So let's take the gearbox out. Since I'm done with most of the bolts on the gearbox, I'm going to remove the back mount on the gearbox, which will come out with the subframe. After doing that bolt, I ended up doing the 2 bolts from underneath the mount. So now the mount is moving with the subframe, as you can see. So I'm going to try to remove the subframe. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. And I just want to let you know before I continue that I'm not actually an expert at that, and I don't know what I'm actually doing. I'm just figuring things out as I go along. So do not hate on me, just give me advice and just let me know what I need to do next time when I'm tackling a job like this or something like this, you know. So let me just try to take the gearbox out, because now it's just that mount. Finally, the rear mount is out. Here it is. Here is the rear mount. Now I want to remove this small section of the subframe. Then that mount is out. The rear mount is out. The only mount that is holding the gearbox to the engine is this one. This is the only mount that is holding the engine to the gearbox. I mean the gearbox to the engine. And we have one bolt over here which is holding the gearbox to the engine, because all of the bolts are out. Now let me remove that bolt. Let me remove this mount, then the gearbox will come out. Now I just have to do one more mount, then we have a free gearbox out of the car. Then we can deal with clutch problem, which I think I just need to purchase a new one. So this mount is the one that gave me a lot of problems, because I wasn't able to remove some of the bolts. But because I didn't want to waste any more time on the mount, I called my brother-in-law, who is a professional mechanic, to come and help me. And if you need any mechanical work with your car, he does everything from fixing gearboxes, from rebuilding engines, and doing all the service on the car. And if you want your car to be professionally fixed, do contact him with the number on the screen right now. And now we're getting to that point of removing the gearbox from the car, and I don't think I was going to be able to remove it by myself, because the gearbox is actually heavy. At this point the mount was already out, and we have to pull the gearbox away from the engine, which was pretty difficult, but we did it in the end. A few minutes later we got the clutch out, and you can see the clutch was slipping. It's not actually too bad. The clutch is not actually too bad, but you can see from here there's a lip that shows that the clutch was actually close to being gone. So because this car was slipping the clutch for some reason, and obviously the clutch is going to smell like crazy. So we got the clutch out. It's time to buy. The only thing that will be left is to buy another clutch. Well, it's either to fill this clutch up or to buy a brand new clutch, a full clutch kit, then put it in, fit it back on the car. Well, thanks to my brother-in-law, we were able to take the gearbox out because there were 2 bolts that I wasn't able to remove. That was really complicated. They were in a tight space, so I wasn't able to remove those bolts. But my brother-in-law is a mechanic. He knows everything, all the skills, all the tricks that needs to be known to remove a gearbox. So he came over to help me remove the gearbox, and he's going to help me put back the gearbox because it's really heavy. And he was also able to help me to get the clutch out. Now the only thing that is left is just to buy another clutch or fill the clutch that you already have and then fit it back on the car, then put everything back together the way it's supposed to be. So here is the clutch. I didn't fill the old clutch up. I just bought a brand new one, which cost me 2,700 and something. But we were able to get the new clutch and we're going to fit it back on the car. Then everything's going to be bajaj. So I'm just going to end the video here. If you haven't liked, make sure to like. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button for this new small series that we're going to do on the Cherry. So I guess I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace out.